Curious if you were going on about commercialization as an effect of our culture and our society, our ability to be informed.
Yeah, of course. I mean, well, I was just saying that was the third. That was one of the other major aspects that I thought
Mm-hmm.
are culprits behind why people do not get informed and use the internet for all of its positive
Mm-hmm.
qualities. So,
It's true.
I
And also, I think there's another aspect to that. It's not necessarily. I guess you could almost say it's a fourth not a fourth aspect of it, but just an overall reason is. And this is going off track a little bit, but also it's how our education system has worked out now. It's a strange thing. You talk about the reason this happens, but then you and I are good examples of how we're not like that. We don't fall into that trap of going and buying things. We know what we want to buy. We realize that it's all a game to them trying to sell you a product and service, yet we're examples of how that doesn't affect us. And so the question is, why is it that the majority of Americans have that happening to them, but then there's a small segment that doesn't? And I would argue that the reason is first off, it's a tradition, and families, a lot of times families tend to execute the same moral traditions and so forth and have the same mentalities towards certain things. If your dad was a Republican, chances are you're a Republican kind of thing. But also, when it comes to being informed, the same thing. If you don't teach your kids to be informed, somebody else is going to teach them something else. And when you have an education system that's bound on groupthink and finishing as a team, the collective solution versus the individual solution, you see the results of it. And I think that you and I are examples of people that believe in individualism and that you have to get ahead yourself and not on somebody else's back. And that mentality clashes with the idea of a consumer culture of just buying things and making everyone feel good. And I think that might be a side of it too. That goes a little far astray of what we're talking about when
Oh,
it
but
comes to social media.
I think it actually comes. I think it comes back to that because we're going to talk about the effects on society, positive, negative of the technological advancements that we have here in America and in the world in general right now, and obviously the positives is we include or basically we have the most informed society ever. You have the ability to access voluminous amounts, I mean, just of information. It was never available on such a massive scale before. You're able to disseminate information. I mean, obviously, we know all the positives of the internet. I'm not going to waste time on that, and the negatives too. I got that. But so is it really technology's fault that's leading to this instant gratification culture and this deadhead culture and this just totally this culture divorced of I don't know reality? Is that the culprit, or is it that the internet and the exponential growth in IT it's a double-edged sword. It's you can use it for good or evil, or you can benefit from it, or you can not benefit from it. So if that's the answer, then what is at the heart of it? Well, then like we've talked about so many times before, I guess it is just family and how you're raised, because I was taught to think for myself. We were raised, we don't care, my parents would always say, we don't care what, your friends down the street are doing. We don't care what they do. We don't care what they say. We don't care how their family raises them. This is how it is in our family. And there was a strong emphasis on critical thinking, literature, music, history
Yep.
in my family. And I think that served me well, and that's why we turned out the way we did, and maybe plays a major role why we're not watching the Kardashians and playing Castleball.
Yep. And I think in our next segment we can talk about more specifically the positives and negatives of this information technology and how social media especially has affected how people think in both positive and negative lights.
Sure.